Rajasthan is one of the most dynamic states culturally in the country. They've been doing remarkable projects.
Rajasthan has become the center of cultural activity in India today.
There has been political will to do this, the kind of which I have not seen ever.
इंडिया में लोगों ने फ्लाविया का म्यूजिक नहीं देखा और चरांगो का 12 मेंबर बैंड नहीं देखा, सिर्फ उदयपुर में देखा है, तो जाने क्या दिख जाए.
Let's not go back into history. The history exists. So step into modernity. We in Rajasthan are making an effort to keep surprising people, so they want to come back for more.
Thank you so much for taking our time and talking to us. Rajasthan is a state which has a rich history. It has got tradition, it has music gharanas. And art generally, when people, especially the states, look at it as a soft powers, but you have used art the way people have used it. What was your thought behind it? Why do you think that state should think art is important?
See, it's very important for, let's say, Rajasthan or for any other state, or even in any other country. And if we've traveled abroad, we've seen how this energy works. This cultural energy actually shows that a place or a state is economically progressing. Because it's only when you're economically progressed that you can actually get to a state where you want to enjoy things other than the daily living. And so it's very important to be able to give back to the public its art, its heritage, its culture. And let's not go back into history. The history exists. So step into modernity with projecting art in the way it's projected across the world, by taking it to public spaces, by making it convenient for everyday people. It makes a lot of difference and it surprises people. And we in Rajasthan are making an effort to keep surprising people, so they want to come back for more. They want to come around a corner and see something different. And the other thing is that I think that we underestimate our own traveler.
Yeah.
We're always looking to see what the outside traveler thinks. But we have a huge traveler base in our own country.
Yeah.
And so I remember when we started the painting of the Savai Madhopur station, people started to come and look around and they all wondered what this is. That we've painted 7 of our stations now, and now it's caught on. Other parts of the country have followed that example. And people are so proud because it talks of their heritage. Savai Madhopur speaks of its wildlife. Yeah. If you go to Bikaner, it talks of Badal Mahal, which is one of the famous rooms in one of the palaces. So if you go to Jodhpur, it has its own theme. If you go to Udaipur, it has its own theme. And it's very important because people get very proud of it. So the locals are proud of it. The outsiders are surprised with it. And government's job is just to stay away from all of this, encourage it, create an atmosphere that is conducive to it. That means cleanliness, accessibility.
And also in kind of, increase that cleanliness.
Yeah.
People would not like to spoil that because it already looks so beautiful.
Yeah, so, but when you do, and this, so if we step back after doing that, then allow people to appreciate it in the way that they would like to.
Totally.
Without guiding them down any particular path. So that's just one example. We are now working hard on not just beautifying or making important public spaces, but even old buildings. For example, you saw Madhavendra Palace. And when we first talked about taking sculpture there, even I wondered, how would we be able to actually project it to the people? But that's the reason why we're trying to bring in young people, because even if a person like me is going to start thinking, how does that happen? So they lowered that huge head. If you saw, I wondered how would they get that in, but I didn't get into it. I said, it's not a good idea. They lowered it into it. And it's so spectacular because you open that, you go through that door and you see this enormous head and it takes your breath away.
Yeah.
the people walk around Madhava in the palace, and when they told me 7,000 footfalls, I said, okay, that's one day. 9,000 footfalls, I said, okay, that's a season. But it's now an everyday affair. So I think we're underestimating the fact that our own people have reached a level where they would also like to be surprised with interesting things happening within their state.
So, I mean, you have got huge public projects going, art in public spaces which are going on, and then you are also involving the locals. You know, the artist, local artist Prashant Pandey was one of the guy who has done an amazing moon. It looks beautiful. What are your next step, or like what is like we have seen the railway station now, we have seen the bus stand, we have seen the fort. What is now cooking out?
See, it's basically ease of being able to get around. It's very important because you plan your trip, let's say in Calcutta, or you plan your trip in, let's say, Montreal, or you plan it in London. So when you come here, you need it to become so easy that traveling becomes a pleasure. If it becomes a hassle, then you really don't even enjoy those things that are being put out by the state. So for us, it's very important that maybe on a single ticket, I should be able to bring people in. On that ticket, it's not just about them coming into town, but also being able to go to, let's say, 2 temples, 3 museums, 1 festival, a single fort, a palace, all on 1 ticket. And they don't then have the hassle of having to go to a government office or going through some babu or the other. They go straight to whatever they want to do, and maybe they even get an option of taking a guide on that. So they make all their payments from wherever they are, and they don't have. So it's the ease of being able to get about in tourism that comes next, because it's very titillating when you come to a place like Rajasthan. There are just so many things that it depends on the flavor. For example, if you're coming in January, then the Jaipur Literature Festival is on. People are making their programs abroad around the Literature Festival and maybe other things that they're going to do in India. So how do I make it easy for them to attend all those functions? Those all have to be factored in. So that is the next thing. Of course, apart from seeing that the roads are done, the toilets are being done, infrastructure basically, signages are put properly, a little bit of attention to those kind of details makes it a little bit more interesting. Shops that have interesting things as souvenirs from those museums that I want to remember when I go back. You know, there are a lot of us who, when we travel, want to bring back something from a place that we've been to. Let's say I've been to the Maldives or something like that. I want to bring back something from there. So what's a little something that I can put somewhere in my house? When I look at it, I remember, oh, that when I went.
Rajasthan.
Yeah. So it's very important. When I went to South Africa, we all went out to dinner at this wonderful fish restaurant. So it has these little signages which says the fish restaurant. And it has this wonderful marlin fish on it. So you bring it back and you hang it somewhere and you remember when you just, as your glance catches it, you think,
Freshen up your memories.
that was when I went to South Africa.
Yeah. So there are lots of music festivals coming up. I mean, it's not about just Jaipur. You know, people used to earlier go to 2 or 3 cities like Jodhpur, Bikaner or Jaipur. But now these are small or big festivals like Udaipur World Music Festival. People actually plan, like for JLI, people plan accordingly. So what was the thought behind, like, you know, why shifting like these or giving the space to these big festivals in a smaller cities? So
See, it's very, very important that you get to look at all of Rajasthan. I need to give you the choices. So if you're traveling, I should not restrict you to just Jaipur. Because I know that Rajasthan is such a wonderful place, full of so many great surprises, that I give you the opportunity to go online and look and decide for yourself which city you'd like to go to. So I am very lucky because I have 7 great heritage cities as my divisional headquarters. And then there are smaller ones under them. I need to open out those. So once I've given you something in Udaipur, something in Ajmer, something in Kota, and it's for different tastes. As I fulfill those needs, I may want to go to some other place. I've been now to Jaipur, so I'd like to see whether there's something else that I could go to in Rajasthan. So I must have the option to be able to go to do that. And that's what I'm trying to do with this.
And also, I think a lot of festivals attract people. You may not go to Bundi, but since you are going to Kota and there is something small happening in
Yes.
Bundi, so people will visit.
Yes.
And that makes sure that when next time they come or anyone is coming, they'll tell.
Yes.
Do
Don't forget to go to Bundi, because Bundi has the most wonderful fort, lake and palace. And it's so beautifully done in the night. So if you're passing by, it'll take your breath away. Go to Bundi. So people will go. But you need to be able to access at least the divisional headquarters.
Yeah. There are lots of, right now Mr. Amitabh Kant is actually calling people from the private sectors to join their division. You have already done that in Rajasthan. JKK is a big example. Pooja Sood is running JKK, who is a private person.
Even Bikaner House.
Yeah, even Bikaner, Priya Pal, yes.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Wasn't there government, like, these hurdles which little doesn't allow you to actually, how
It took me,
make it happen?
My first 5 years was almost, it was an everyday battle. But I think that people saw where we were going. And this time, the transformation that has taken place in JKK and the transformation with Bikaner House has been so amazing that everyone's caught on that this perhaps is a good idea, that it's not government that can do this. We need to be able to bring in young people with new ideas, fresh thinking, new technologies, and put them together to create a situation that would be attractive to people from outside. And that's happening. And there's an energy that comes with the youngsters. So that is the energy we need to tap into.
What was the reason behind, like, young generation has really good idea and then there is little experience which they need?
So the experience is there with government. We're always the restraining hand. If you see Masala Chowk just now, which we started in Jaipur, it's a whole lot of young people. And it has its theatre, it has an open air auditorium. But we've agreed now, after a great deal of
back and forth?
Yes, we've agreed that it's open now for youngsters at very, very minimal prices, and book it. Allow them for very minimal prices to come and have a play or jam or a group or, well, just a dinner. So let them come, let the youngsters come, because they need to have a place where they can get together.
And then maybe they go to Masala Chowk, have dinner.
Yeah, and then carry on.
Yeah.
So it becomes a happening place. And that is what is happening. So what we're doing now is 18 museums across Rajasthan are transforming them. But the museums that have already transformed, we're saying, can we do a Masala Chowk idea?
Or maybe a little cafe if it's not, like Museum of Legacy is a small place. People will still go there. And I also want to add here, like when you go abroad, like you go to New York, you have like little museums, like Rubin Museum, you have a huge museum like Met and Home also. So now you're bringing that in.
No, I don't even have to do it. There are people there who have collections that are now transforming small into small booty. For example, Amrapali.
Yeah, the museum, yes.
Okay, so
Museum.
you're seeing all this. Then there are other museums. If you go, there are little things that are popping up.
Yeah.
And this is happening because they know that Jaipur and Rajasthan is becoming a happening place, not just because of its forts and palaces. They were always there.
Yeah.
But Amer has become second to Taj.
Wow.
Now that is fantastic because there's so many interesting things happening in Amer now.
You also
Restaurants
transform
are happening.
Hathi also, right?
There's a wonderful place, kids are fascinated by elephants. And our elephants were living in the city, not exactly safe. So, with the help of Mark Shan, who at that point, he's now no more, but he was a very good friend. And he suggested to me, why don't you make a village for the elephants? So we found a place which is not so far away and close to Amer, created the Hathi Gaon, moved the elephants there. Everyone's living happily ever after, and some of them are so smart. They have started these tours where they bring children for exorbitant sums to pat the elephant, to paint the elephant, to have lunch there, to watch them swim, and just basically in safe environs be in touch with the elephant. They've made their own thing. This is not government. Government provided Hathi Gaon.
And then
now the individuals are working to create the tourism. And that's how it should be.
Also when, private hands, when they have to work with government, they just don't like it. They say like it's very difficult to work with government. But we're here in Rajasthan, we saw a lot of public and private partnership. How did you convince the private people to come in or to start a music festival or a literature or anything? How did that happen?
To begin with, it was difficult, but I think that JKK and Bikaner House were sweeteners. They saw what happened, and they were excited about it. And we got the right people.
Yeah.
And we married them up, and they did some very exciting things. So when they did those exciting things, other people started thinking it's not so bad after all, working with government.
Yeah.
And they needed that a little bit of autonomy, which we said we should give them. Because if everything is going to be directed by government, we will fall back into the good old ways or bad old ways, whichever way you want to say it. And that's really not our job.
Totally. I really feel, in fact, I was there for a meeting and quickly this was talking about something to do with tourism for documentation, and I saw the officers sitting there, and right there they took decision. They said, okay, fine, let's do it. So that's like a quick...
Because they've now also seen
Yeah.
that what they're getting out of this tourism. They're getting that, and they're very excited too. So what happens is it actually energizes each other. This energy has come back and energized government into saying, well, if I could do 2 of them, why didn't I do 10? So let's look around for more people that are going to be able to do this. So more youngsters have come in. If you've been to JKK, you find there are all kinds of new restaurants that have happened.
Yeah, there's one.
And not in JKK only, but now around in Jaipur there are eating places. If you'd gone back 4 years, there weren't. There was a place which did good Rajasthani khana. But I mean, nothing like this, like cafes and things where you could just,
these
yeah.
people, yeah. These are quite...
So it's very different, and people are catering to other people's needs. So this is good, and it needs to happen more.
What is the roadmap like before you go into election? These are the things which you have to finish.
No, now I still have my museums, which I'm in the process of finishing. We finished quite a few of them, but I don't think I'll be able to finish all 18 of them. But certainly a large proportion of them are going to get finished. We're hoping to start we've started the gardens, in fact.
Okay.
So we have a forest coming up in Kishan Bagh. We have 3 big gardens with the help of Singapore coming up on the river front, the Dravyavati Nadi, which is going to change the quality of life here in Jaipur itself. We have some interesting things happening now, for example, in Bikaner, where the place where the old archives were opening up to public. And there's some amazing things. In fact, our curator and director there was invited to London to speak about it. In Ajmer, we discovered an archive of films, 4,000 films that are really old. And there's one particular person who's just been rolling those films to keep them okay. So now we're bringing this together. So Ajmer has a whole different thing that, you can come and watch these old films there in the museum.
And everyone can, like locals and people can just come.
Yeah. So we want to bring them back into shape and put them out for people. But as I said, the most important thing is the ease of being able to get to these places. So the ticketing and things, the signages to make it more interesting, the shops, the cafes, these are all things that are going to hold. You get into a museum, you go in there for 1 hour. When you come out of the museum, another hour at least in the premises where you would spend some money on the cafe or spend some money in the shop, and all of these would be connected with artists. And I want to keep on encouraging them to keep on having ideas to showcase to the public. So the public is surprised all the time and want to come back to Jaipur and all these cities to see what's new. Maybe they've got something interesting happening. Let's go to Rajasthan. So there's a surprise around every corner, and that brings more people to Rajasthan. More spend.
Yes.
And then the cycle goes round.
Cycle. Yeah, it's a big cycle.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us. It was amazing to listen to you and the whole progress which Rajasthan has done in these last 5.
I have to tell you that I have to really thank everyone involved, particularly the people who have actually taken this up and run with it. They have enjoyed every minute of it, and they keep in, and that's what's so exciting about this, because the enthusiasm that they generate gives rise to encourage us more to put our best foot forward. And I think this is very important because they work off each other.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Thank you, I enjoyed that.